When the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first premiered on Fox Kids in 1993, we could have barely imagined the kind of impact it would have on pop culture. It was all the rage among younger audiences, and the show managed to create a long-lasting legacy with over 30 seasons spanning over 3 decades. It also introduced us to hordes of powerful characters, and today we shall be ranking the top 15 strongest Rangers across the entire franchise. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
You may look like me, but unless you got a Master Morpher, you ain't nothing but a cheap
Master Morpher. To kickstart this list, we have Tommy Oliver in his most supreme form as the Master Morpher. While he was initially introduced as a villain, it was soon revealed that Tommy was under Rita Repulsa's control, and he managed to break free from it in an attempt to switch over to the bright side. Ever since, Tommy has assumed several roles, including the Green Ranger, White Ninja Ranger, Turbo Red Ranger, and Dino Thunder Black Ranger. However, his most mighty form comes attached to his Master Morpher, which has the Dragon Zord, White Tiger Zord, Zeo, Turbo, and Dino Thunder power coins fitted within. With such a wide range of options available, Tommy can wield the Master Morpher to assume any of these forms by using a crystal frequency transducer that lets him switch between these Ranger forms. He first used this ability to stop his robot clone from stirring up trouble, and over the course of his story arc, there have been many instances where he has resorted to using this Morpher. With great power comes great responsibility, and Tommy Oliver certainly knows how to carry the weight of the responsibilities that come with the prestige of wielding Master Morpher. SPD Shadow Ranger. Also known as Anubis Kruger, the SPD Shadow Ranger considered himself to be a sworn defender of the galaxy. He acted as the Syrian commander of the Space Patrol Delta before assuming the role of the Shadow Ranger, and he eventually went on to become the SPD's supreme commander. Anubis's career with the Rangers initially kick-started with him serving as their mentor, but he eventually got his hands on a Morpher and gained supreme power. He then became a Ranger capable of destroying entire armies on his own, and he was quite a capable warrior to begin with. One can only imagine the kind of power he wielded after assuming the role of the Shadow Ranger, and the team often relied on him to assist them in their battles against various intergalactic enemies. He was best known for his swordsmanship, and he even knocked down 100 cyborgs in his very first appearance as the SPD Shadow Ranger. Anubis was a man of great honor, and he also went to great lengths to find the man who destroyed his homeworld and teach him a lesson.
White Ranger power! Black Ranger power!
Tommy, White Ranger. While Tommy Oliver has mainly been introduced as the Green Ranger, he did pick up the mantle of the White Ninja Ranger at some point in his story arc. As Rita Repulsa's brother, Rito Revolto, destroyed the Thunder Zords and left the Rangers powerless, Tommy had no choice but to seek out Ninjor. Ninjor had crafted the original power coins, and he once again proved helpful when he assisted Tommy and the others to transform into Ninja Rangers. In this season, Tommy assumed the role of the White Ninja Ranger, and worked with the White Ninja Falcon Zord before eventually taking control of the mighty White Shogun Zord. This season's plot revolved around Rita's evil schemes to send a girl named Catherine Hillard to befriend and ultimately defeat the Rangers. Tommy played a big role in kidnapping Catherine out of Rita's mind control, and he showed great character development compared to his initial appearances, where he was also introduced as a villain. After losing his Green Ranger powers, Tommy continued to have faith in his abilities, and his determination and bravery finally led him to gain the benevolent powers of the White Ranger. These powers were created from good, which also made it impossible for Rita to try and steal them, and Tommy used them to tackle several obstacles while leading the Ninja Rangers.
We will invade their worlds.
Lord Draken, Black Dragon Ranger. So far, we've explored a couple of different forms of Tommy Oliver, but none of them have radiated ill intent as much as his evil counterpart, Lord Draken. Draken never really joined the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and instead, he appeared as the main villain during the Shattered Grid story arc presented by Boom Studios. Hailing from an alternate reality where he ruled over a dystopian angel grove, Lord Draken was known for spreading chaos and tyranny with the help of his army of Ranger centuries. He was nothing short of a force of nature. Moreover, he was influenced by Rita Repulsa in his early days. While the Power Rangers had rescued Tommy from Rita's evil spell in mainstream reality, Draken ended up joining Rita willingly in this alternate reality. He then shattered the Morphin grid to gain more power and notoriously gained a reputation for his sadistic, ruthless persona.
When I call on the power of the mighty Tyrannosaurus, I kick it.
Jason, Red Ranger. Jason Lee Scott, famously known as the very first Red Ranger, led the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the longest time. He had quite a turbulent story arc, wherein he initially started as a bully and even broke one kid's bow and arrow at a young age. Over time, he decided to change his ways and become a better person. He then started practicing karate to defend others. He soon joined the Angel Grove Community Center and even became friends with Zach Taylor while continuing his journey in the martial arts field. He soon became a professional trainer at the Angel Grove Karate School and attended lectures at the local high school when he was first approached to be a part of the Power Rangers. While he was hanging out with his best friends, Zach, Billy, Trini, and Kimberly, they were all teleported away to Zordon, who christened them as the first Power Rangers. As they learned how to use their powers and wield their morphers, Jason assumed the role of the Red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger and encouraged his friends to embrace their powers and use them for good.
Super Mega Final Strike! Charge!
Orion, Silver Ranger. Most popularly known as the Silver Ranger of the Super Mega Force, Orion has made quite a name for himself among fans. He has quite an interesting origin story, as he hailed from the planet of Andresia and only arrived on Earth after his homeworld was destroyed. Once he found himself on Earth, Orion decided to use his homeworld's advanced technology and mostly relied on his trusty silver spear as his choice of weapon. While this spear was quite lethal to begin with, it could also morph into the Super Spear Blaster that could fire powerful blasters at his opponents. In fact, this blaster was so powerful that even Orion had trouble balancing himself, as he would often fly backwards upon using the spear. In his first appearances, Orion managed to defeat X-Borg platoons that were trying to attack the warehouse district, which is quite a testament to his strength. Eventually, he managed to gain the ability to combine all 6 Ranger keys to unlock the Super Megaforce goal. This enabled him to transform into any Ranger from the past, and he could even use the legendary Final Strike attack that allowed him to summon the spirits of the past Rangers.
Quantum power!
Eric, Quantum Ranger. Eric Myers, also known as the Time Force Quantum Ranger, has had one hell of a roller coaster story arc right from his childhood. He lived in poverty and struggled to make ends meet, but things took a turn for him when he eventually started attending a prep school in his older years. Here, he came across Wesley Collins and got quite close to him until Eric realized that the place was full of rich brats and that he had better things to do in life. While Wesley joined the Time Force Rangers, Eric became a part of the Silver Guardians when he got wind of the fact that Wesley was the new Red Time Force Ranger. He also learned that the Time Force Rangers were searching for quantum powers, so he decided to get ahead of Wesley and find them before anyone else did. Soon enough, Eric succeeded in his mission to find the Quantum Morpher and assumed the Quantum Ranger role, much to the Time Force Rangers' distaste. Nevertheless, Eric aided the Rangers in many of their missions, but did not hesitate to fight against them when he wanted to get his hands on the Quantosaurus Rex.
Big Face, I believe we have some unfinished business.
Magna Defender. First appearing in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, Magna Defender made quite a powerful impression despite only appearing in a handful of episodes. He had been around for quite some time, and he was one of the legendary characters who fought in battles about 3,000 years ago. Over time, Scorpius attacked his homeworld and killed his son Zika, which left the Magna Defender in a state of rage. He swore revenge and departed for Miranoi to release the lights of Orion. However, he sadly ended up facing his arch-rival Trecheron. The Magna Defender was defeated in this attack, and he then spent 1,000 years in a pit before he came across Mike Corbett's body and possessed him to take a human form. Now that he could be out and about, the Magna Defender immediately set out to find Scorpius and even clashed with the Power Rangers in order to get to him. Over time, he realized that the Rangers were on the same side as him, and he then joined hands with them to bring down their common enemies and even fill in as the 6th Ranger. He also owned a powerful Zord known as the Torazord, which had a mind of its own and often refused to act on the Magna Defender's orders if it felt like its owners were being too harsh or impractical. Andros, Red Space Ranger. Known as the fierce leader of the Space Rangers, Andros was a human being who hailed from the space colony KO-35. After the Turbo Rangers left Earth in the wake of their command center's destruction, Andros sought them out and handed them their astromorphers while keeping the battleizer for himself. He was known for his intelligence and telekinetic abilities, which played a great role in defeating opponents such as Trakina, Dark Spectre, and so on. In fact, Andros even faced a room full of powerful enemies ranging from Rita Repulsa and the Machine Empire and defeated them all in his first appearance. Andros worked closely with the Turbo Rangers to find the missing Zordon and also defended Earth from Astronema's attacks. He later stepped up to work alongside the Galaxy Rangers to defeat Trakina and the resurrected Psycho Ranger.
Solar Cell Morpher! Magical Source! Mystic Force!
Daggeron, Solaris' knight. Posing as the 6th Ranger in the Mystic Rangers team, Daggeron was known for wielding the power of the sun and then channeling it to fire yellow energy laser blasts. Additionally, he could also manipulate magic and transform into a superhuman being by enabling an ancient mystic mode. Daggeron shaped up to be a seasoned warrior after spending most of his life as one of the ancient mystics who lent their powers to the Mystic Rangers. Over time, he learned to shed his stern demeanor and spent a good amount of time training under Lianbo before fighting in the Great War. In the aftermath of the war, Daggeron turned into a frog and spent about 19 years trapped in a cave before Madison finally freed him. He then took up the responsibility of training the Mystic Rangers in magic and soon assumed the unofficial role of the 6th Ranger, also known as the Solaris Knight. At the end of the day, Daggeron remained a strict, no-nonsense teacher who would often push the Rangers beyond their limits so that they could reach their full potential.
White Ranger. Dino Power.
Bring it on.
Trent Mercer, White Dino Ranger. Initially appearing as an antagonist in Power Rangers Dino Thunder, Trent Mercer eventually broke free from Mesogog's spell and assumed the role of the White Dino Ranger. He had a troubled childhood after his parents were killed during an archaeological excavation, and he then grew up with multi-billionaire scientist Dr. Anton Mercer. While Mercer was infamous for his experimentations, Trent lurked around his adoptive father's office and stumbled upon his Invisiportal. The portal soon transported him to Mesogog's lair, where Trent came in contact with the White Dino Gem and transformed into the White Ranger. Now, unfortunately, the White Dino Gem had a mind of its own, and it merged with Mesogog's power to turn Trent evil. He gained the ability to camouflage himself, move at super speeds, and even enable Super Dino mode, besides exerting control over the Dragonzord and the Stegazord. He eventually managed to free himself from Mesogog's clutches, which marked the start of his adventures with the Dino Rangers. He then fought alongside the SPD Rangers to defeat Zeltrax and Emperor Grum, and eventually joined the Mega Rangers to defeat the Armada. Merrick Balaton, Lunar Wolf Ranger. Power Rangers Wild Force is filled to the brim with complex, interesting characters, and Merrick Balaton is undeniably one of the cooler ones. He used to be one of the 6 ancient warriors who fought against Master Org, and Merrick went one step ahead of the others to gain Zen Aku's mask. While this mask helped him gain special powers to defeat Org, he was corrupted by the mask's evil influence, and he soon ended up channeling the spirit of Zen Aku. The other ancient warriors decided it best to lock Merrick up, but Master Org soon located him and freed him from prison. Soon enough, Merrick had no option but to serve Org, but the Wild Force Rangers thankfully saved him and helped him turn over a new leaf. While some effects of the mask still lingered and transformed Merrick into a wolf every full moon night, he embraced his good side and started working alongside the Rangers as the Lunar Wolf Ranger. As a part of the team, Merrick gained control over 3 Zords: the Wolf Wild Zord, the Alligator Wild Zord, and the Hammerhead Shark Wild Zord. He played a huge role in the legendary battle, as well as other story arcs where he worked alongside the Zeo, Turbo, Space, and Galaxy Rangers. He's definitely gone down in history as one of the most striking personalities to ever join the Power Rangers team. Yellow Wild Forest Ranger. Often considered to be one of the best Yellow Rangers across the franchise, Taylor Earnhardt appeared as the Yellow Wild Forest Ranger. She did a fantastic job of leading her team through the wilderness. Taylor worked as a lieutenant in the Air Force when she first stumbled across the Yellow Eagle Wild Zord soaring beautifully across the sky, right beside her plane. She then followed the Zord to an animarium, where she stumbled upon Princess Shayla and asked her for a chance to join the Power Rangers. Taylor's time in the military had shaped her into a cold, rigid leader who initially struggled to lead the Wild Force Rangers, but she eventually went on to become a highly competent leader. She always managed to keep her cool in the most panic-inducing situations, and her calm, protocol-oriented persona proved to be quite beneficial while fighting against opponents such as the Orgs. She later joined hands with the Time Force Rangers to defeat the Mutt Orgs, and she struck a surprising romance with Eric Myers during this story arc. Later on, Taylor managed to defeat Master Org in a final face-off, and she finally gave up on her powers and returned to her job in the Air Force after having fulfilled her destiny as a Ranger.
Magical source! Mystic force!
Wolf Warrior. Lianbo was one of the ancient mystic wizards who fought in the Great Battle and eventually lost himself in the darkness and destruction in the war's aftermath. While the forces of good magic led the Morlocks through the gates of the underworld, Lianbo followed them and personally fought against Mordecon. He ended up getting trapped within the underworld along with these enemy forces, and his loved ones accepted that he might be lost forever when he eventually appeared in his wife's dreams. She saw him suffering in a hellish dimension and then used her powers to enter the astral plane and contact him. While her words failed to reach his ears, Lianbo eventually turned into Korag, the Night Wolf, and made a comeback as a villain. In due course, his wife realized his true identity and helped him return to his usual self, after which he joined the Mystic Rangers as the Wolf Warrior. Since he was one of the ancient wizards, Lianbo is essentially a deity, and he had the ability to manipulate others' sizes, teleport from one place to another, or conjure objects out of thin air. As the Wolf Warrior, he could use his powers to fire a blazing storm smash or a sun spell, and he proved to be a great ally to the Mystic Rangers. Red Sentinel Ranger. Appearing as the Red Sentinel Ranger in Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, Mac Hartford left quite a mark as one of the main protagonists of the season. His billionaire father, Andrew Hartford, built an android son since he could not find the right woman to settle down with, and he then programmed this android to have memories. He named this android Mac and fed memories and photographs of his own childhood so that Mac could at least learn from his childhood experiences. While Mac was unaware of his origins, he lived as a regular teenager and grew into an outgoing, adventurous young man. He ended up joining Operation Overdrive against his father's wishes, while the Sentinel Knight continued to pester Andrew to build the Rangers' Zords. Andrew then recruited most of the Rangers and decided to step up as the Red Ranger after undergoing a genetic procedure to enhance his powers. In a surprising twist of events, Mac stepped into the room and interrupted the procedure, leading him to gain these powers instead of his father. Mac then assumed the role of the Red Sentinel Ranger and proved to be a valuable addition to the team in their missions against the Chillers, Lava Lizards, and Moltor.
Quantum power!
Marvelous verdict. And with that, we've come to the end of our curation of the strongest Power Rangers of all time. Ranging from iconic characters such as Tommy Oliver and Jason Scott to some underrated Rangers such as Orion and Andros, we hope you spotted a few of your favorites scattered across this video, and do share your thoughts on them in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.